It was such a beautiful day in Verona, Italy today that I decided to take my mountain bike for a spin up in the hills nearby where I live. So here are some little clips of my mountain bike, the different components on it. Everything's pretty nice and new. However, my mountain bike rarely gets used these days because I favour my other bikes and I don't really know why, and therefore my mountain bike just ends up stuck against a wall. Anyway, enough of that. This is me cycling to some mountain bike trails in Verona. So this is actually quite a steep incline, but fortunately my mountain bike has 12 gears and I think I'm in the lowest here. So this is 15 times speed. You can see I get stuck at a traffic light here behind a white van for I think it was about 5 minutes. But basically there's some little like dirt trails that somebody's made. You'll see them in a moment. So I get to the top of here, check my tyre pressure, and then do a little run going downhill, which I'll leave the audio for you. So this was like my first run, and I try to go quite careful on these little trails because if you fly off something or try to do a jump, then it's not worth risking it for me. I'm not trying to become a pro mountain biker. I'm just trying to enjoy getting lost on some trails and enjoying, riding my bike in the woods really. Because I think if you attempt to do something silly sometimes without any guidance or without any, tutors or someone that teaches you, then it can go quite badly. So I just turn around here and then I do another run. You see the second run that I do in a moment, I'm a little bit more confident, I go a little bit faster. Because these jumps, they look small, but they're actually, you get a little bit of air. And as you can see the speed as well, I'm just trying to avoid the trees and look out for roots and rocks and stuff on the floor, because if you slide on one of them, it's a bit dodgy. So I've got like 27.5-inch wheels, 2.6 wide, so they're quite thick and quite secure on the trails. But yeah, again, not trying to do anything mad, just having a nice time really. So this is the first little route that I did, but in a moment what you'll see is if I go further up the hill, which is this one now, you see I get stuck here straight away on a massive route. But this one's actually really good fun, and it's also a little bit precarious because you're quite on the edge. To the right hand side there's quite a steep drop, but it's a lovely little trail in the woods, and I think people just make these little like mounds or little jumps. But it's really lovely, even in February, it's a beautiful day, nice and sunny. Actually going pretty fast here, it's full of trees. The roots stick out a lot here. You can see here I actually get off my bike because that is actually quite a lot like more severe of a drop than it looks. And then you get back on the road here and it kind of links to another trail, which is really good fun because it's like all downhill and it's super fast. So it just joins on again to another trail, which you'll see now. Leave the sound on again. You can see the speed I'm going here is a lot quicker than the other one. But again, you have to be really careful because there's so many roots and rocks and it's quite loose. Obviously I've got my seat down here, use the dropper post. You can see the gaps between the trees as well. Like my handlebars are quite wide and you have to get used to that coming from a gravel bike, because you really smack into those roots even with squishy suspension. I've got 130mm on the front. Even with the squish suspension and low tire pressure, it's really quite dodgy. And you look to the right there, you can see that big drop off, and look at these trees. Like, it's a tiny little gap to get through. So you have to be careful, because if you smash your handlebars into that, you could end up going off to the right. But beautiful little ride, beautiful scenery, really windy. You have to be quite agile in between. And like I say, I'm no expert. And I think in a moment there's a little bit that comes up that's quite cool. You can see there I'm complaining about the handlebars. This is quite cool. You kind of go over a little tree. Oh no, actually I tried to go over the tree and my pedals got caught, which is quite annoying. Sometimes hurts your toe. Some benches along if you wanted to just sit and stare at the trees. This is nice again. You kind of go under a tree, fallen tree. You have to duck your head under so you don't smash your helmet. And then again, it's just winding in and out, fallen trees. Which way do you go, left or right? It really tires you because you have to always think which way you're going, left or right. But that's part of the fun, I guess. And there is a little ramp, I think, that I go on in a moment. But this is all pretty flat, and it's just like at the top of Verona, really, like the city centre. But you get to a point where it just goes really downhill, and it's full of roots and rocks and stuff, but it's really good fun as well. You can see here, like the speed's actually pretty quick. And I think I'm stood up mostly, because obviously my dropper post is like on the lowest it can be. So yeah, I'm stood up for the whole ride, making sure I'm keeping my hips and my bum right back to keep the balance and the weight on the back wheel, so I don't slide out. Again, you can probably see those roots and the rocks. They're a lot bigger than they look. It's here. Really good fun. You can see I've stood up more here, try and get some more control because I'm looking more at the ground. Because I'm wearing the chest mount on my GoPro, and you see it starts going downhill quite a bit, and you really have to, you know, I've got a couple of fingers on the brakes. Here you go, here's the ramp, this is cool. So that was quite good fun. It felt quite nice. But this is another one that I just didn't want to do because it wasn't really a ramp, it was just a, you know, a big tree trunk, so I had to step over that one and back on the bike. But some incredible views of Verona and around Verona as well. Really good fun. You need a nice bit of suspension, I think, but in a minute you'll see it goes right down. I think it's this bit starts descending now, and it gets really, really, you know, sketchy, I guess, and that's where those, you know, big wide fat tires come into play, because they're just gripping onto every little thing. I think you can hear my brakes squealing at certain points. It's quite difficult to maintain. You see there, I have to really go under that tree, and it's really hard on your arms because they're always shaking and stuff, and you've always got to, you know, have your fingers on those brakes. It gets really loose here, but good fun, keeps your mind ticking all the time. I think at some point where I had to get off here because it was like a sheer drop and I didn't want to risk it, because the last thing you want is face full of root. Because I don't wear a full face helmet, I need to get one really, because if you fall on like a rock face first, it's not going to be good, is it? And you can see here again, really steep, really nice, going down. You have to avoid lots of obstacles. You can hear my brakes screeching onto the rotors. But as I get towards the end here, the speed really picks up. You see I'm coming towards the end of it now, coming out of this little trail. Really good fun. Really enjoyed this one. Awesome. And then yeah, straight down to the bottom here. The speed really picked up. I think I was doing about 37 kilometers or something. Really nice. So this part, I've sped it up, but this is like a really steep incline. I don't know what the incline was, but if you watch the footage, even when it's sped up, it looks like I'm doing a wheelie. And it's just because of how, how steep the incline is really. But I've sped this up because it kind of links to the next part that I'm going to, the next trail I'm trying to, connect. And on the walls of Verona, this is basically. So I sped this part up a little bit because these are the walls that go around Verona, but it just takes me a while to get up them because it is a little bit steep, but they're quite long as well. So you basically got two walls on either side that are like, part of the walls of Verona that you'll see on pictures and things, and it's beautiful to ride around them. Really nice structures. Again, lovely day, nice bit of grass, and the mountain bike works fantastic on grass as well. And then up here, I just kind of go to like a viewpoint, I guess, of Verona, which you'll see in a moment. So just after those walls, you turn right and there's a nice little viewpoint over the city. So you can see the city's there directly in front of me. And you can see like some of the church spires popping up and trees and houses and all of that. So here's a bit more of a panoramic shot, I guess. So peaceful, so quiet. Really nice. And then after that, I basically ride again through this kind of walled area, like a picnic area, I guess. So I've just sped this clip up again, just so you can get some ideas. I carry my bike over there, and then I'm going back uphill again. So at this point, my legs are really burning, quite difficult. But on a mountain bike, it's doable. On a gravel bike or a road bike, I sometimes find, yes, you can go up hills, but mountain bikes, you can go in the lowest gear you want, and you can just cruise. And I think that's what I'm doing at this point. So again, I'm like kind of right at the top of the hills of Verona here. I'm just leaving these clips in so you can get an idea of, you know, what it looks like around here and the kind of things you can see. Obviously, I'm spending quite a lot of time on road, but my bike has a lockout in the fork, so I can turn off the suspension, which makes it a little bit, you know, more efficient and easier. Ideally, I'd rather be on more mountain trails, but to get to some of these little paths, you have to go up these kind of roads, I guess. So again, just leaving these clips in so you can get an idea of what it's like up here, kind of like a time lapse. And then here you can see to the right, you can see like all off into the distance, all the different houses and businesses and vineyards as well. Again, I'm still going up at this point, but in a moment I come down this road, and it's really cool because you go down really fast. I'm going like 40 kilometers an hour on my mountain bike, but then I start coming off the side roads down this cobbled street, and it was really good fun. So you see here, I start to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to start going down now. And it's always the best part for me going down. It makes the going up worth it, obviously. So I'm kind of just having a rest here, letting the bike kind of roll down. And I was going to pull in here and have a little bit of rest, but then I thought, nah, I don't need a rest. Up the gears there, straight into the highest gear. And I just started smashing it down. Really enjoy the feeling of, like, you know, you got the sun beaming down on you there. Beautiful blue sky. Green trees, green grass. We're kind of getting towards springtime. It's fantastic. I still have my fingers on the brakes here because you've got to be safe, of course. You never know what's going to happen. There's cars pulling out. There's a hospital on the right there. And yeah, I just basically, I don't even pedal at this point. I'm just kind of enjoying coming back down to the centre of Verona and letting the bike do its thing, really. And one thing about mountain bikes is you always feel really secure when you're riding them. I do anyway. Like, gravel bikes and road bikes are fantastic, and I absolutely love them, but the mountain bike, every now and then, like, it feels like you're driving a tank. Like, it feels like nothing's pushing you off that once you're on road. So this felt really nice, and it's a lovely little view of what's going on around. I think on the left in a minute there's a vineyard. Yeah, I think just on the left there they sell like wine. Really good stuff. And then directly in front of me there is a church, like an old church. I've never actually been inside it. And then we come to a roundabout, and I think you get a nice view over Verona here, maybe. The guy thought about crossing the road. So again, Verona's pretty much like straight on. I think I point to some of it in a minute. I'll point to something. So I actually start pedaling now. It's actually quite cool. Verona. Yeah, so there's Verona on the right. It's quite a nice view to see. But very shortly, I think I come off at a side point and go down some cobbled streets, and I really enjoyed it because it's quite narrow cobbled streets, but they're quite bumpy, and, you know, putting your weight back on the mountain bike and letting the suspension do its thing is really good fun. So I think here I was getting up to like 38 kilometers, 40 kilometers, something like that. Just trying to maintain the pace, really, just letting gravity do its thing. But again, this just shows, basically I came up the same hill but on the other side. The same, like, incline, I guess. Again, you can see all in front is like Verona. I'm just trying to keep the bike stable at this point, not trying to do anything silly, just let the bike roll down. So I think I'd like to get out on the mountain bike a little bit more because it is really good fun. It's just I kind of neglect it sometimes. So here I put my seat down. You just saw on the left I put the dropper post down. And then I think I put my suspension on here. Yeah, I put the suspension on. Yeah, because I know it's going to be quite bumpy. I tried to stay in the middle of the line. But this I ended up going really fast, and this was really fun. So you can see my angle changed a little bit of the camera. I'm a bit further away. And that's because I'm kind of like squatting over my back seat and keeping all my weight. You know, I've got my pedals level, feet either side, and I've got all my weight pretty much on that back wheel. You don't want your weight forward, you want it all the way back. And that's what I'm basically doing, kind of just weaving in and out. Nice and fast. And you're basically coming down into the center now. But you can see my arms. If you look at my arms on either side there, I'm trying to keep them loose because you don't want to obviously be too tense because you can damage yourself, but injure yourself. But I'm really trying to keep my arms loose, but at the same time it's so bumpy because it's like a cobble path, but really good fun. And then you see I try to stay on one side because the wind is so, like, you hear so much wind I can't hear if a car's coming or not. So I'm trying to get as best view as I can. And then again, down I come. You can see I get back on the line there and you hear the sound of the tyres on the road. Again here you come out at like a bit of a naturey part. Accidentally actually go through this red light here because I didn't realise there was a red light until too late, and then I thought, well, there's no point in stopping halfway down. But this was really good fun, really enjoyed it. You see it's really narrow as well, like it's not that much wider than my bars. It's probably about the width of, you know, car and a half or something like that, and that's why they've got the traffic lights. And then I come down and I'm pretty much bang smack back in Verona centre. And then my last clip I'm just gonna fast forward and leave it on there for you to watch. But then at this point I had really cold ears. My hands were cold. Hands were shaking. But no, really good fun. Good stuff.
My hands are shaking. My ears are numb.
It like gets your adrenaline going.
Lots of fun. Home time.
And then I basically I'll leave the last clip on here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, want to watch more videos like this, then feel free to tag along. Thank you. Bye bye.